Port Chicago is located on an arm of San Francisco Bay about 30 miles northeast of Oakland and San Francisco. The town of Port Chicago, population of 1,500, was located about 1.5 miles from the pier. Not far away was Vallejo Mayor's Island, a major naval base which included ammunition depots. During World War II, Port Chicago was a segregated Navy munitions base on the outer shores of San Francisco Bay. Black seamen were required to load ammunition onto ships bound for the South Pacific under the watch of their white officers, which was an incredibly dangerous and physically challenging task. After World War I, the Navy tried to exclude African Americans, replacing their ranks with Filipinos. In 1932, the Navy again recruited blacks, but they were limited in numbers and confined to menial tasks, primarily as messmen, which are known as kitchen helpers. There were no black officers still. In 1942, the Navy reluctantly accepted blacks for their general service, but in segregated units, which did not include sea duty. At Port Chicago at the time of the disaster, there were 1,400 blacks enlisted men, 71 officers, 106 Marine Guards, and 230 civilian employees. Loading went on 24 hours per day. The men moved the ammunition hand to hand on hand trucks or carts, or rolled larger bombs down a ramp from the boxcars, which were right on the pier, and placed them into the cargo netting which they spread out on the pier.
Marshall was present at the trial, and he voiced the frustrations and anger of the men on trial. Marshall said, "This is not the 50 men on trial for mutiny. This is the Navy on trial for its whole vicious policy towards Negroes. Negroes in the Navy don't mind loading ammunition. They just want to know why they are the ones doing the loading. They want to know why they are segregated." After the war, with the help of the NAACP and Thurgood Marshall's persistence, the sentences of the 50 black soldiers were significantly reduced, but not overturned. Ultimately, the actions of the black sailors helped change the face of the U.S. Navy. Soon, white sailors were put to work side by side with the black sailors, loading ammunition at Port Chicago. Thurgood Marshall's efforts and the NAACP's Legal Defense Fund pressure contributed to the Navy beginning a systematic policy of desegregation under Secretary of the Navy James V. Forrestal. In 1948, when President Harry S. Truman signed the historic Executive Order 9981, ordering the end to the racial segregation in the U.S. Armed Forces, the Navy was already in compliance. But more than 50 years later, the convictions of the 50 black sailors of Port Chicago still stand.